I am so excited to be doing this webinar. Just to kind of give you a little bit of perspective of who I am. Robbie is a coach that works for me. I'm going to introduce him in a minute, but my name is Craig Perra. I'm the founder of the Mindful Habit to End Sex and Porn Addiction. I'm a former porn and sex addict myself. Struggled since I was 8 years old. Porn was shown to me by an older boy in my neighborhood, and he used the pornography to lure me into an inappropriate childhood sexual relationship. And that had a profound impact on my life. All my life, there were two sides of me. There was the one side where I was productive. Heck, I'm a lawyer. I worked for big companies, volunteered in the community, coached, really that positive, but I still was only firing on half of my cylinders because the other half, that powerful sexual energy that we all have, and we got to learn to respect it, brothers and sisters, because this energy is powerful. Whether you look at it from a Darwinian perspective, a biological one, romantic one, pornographical, heck, men are going impotent because of their excessive use of pornography. This other part of me just consumed me more and more and more, to the point where I actually lost a six-figure executive job, was in California where I couldn't practice law, and I had to completely reinvent myself. And here I am now about to launch an online product, a course I can tell you about later, but really the habit cycle. And so I completely changed my life. You can change your life. I now work with clients in 14 countries all over the world. Great life, great relationship. Been on Katie Couric. And I lecture here locally on internet safety. And here's my real quick message for all you parents out there. Don't let this problem get in the way of you protecting your children. Okay, we don't want what happened to us to happen to them. So let me introduce my colleague, Robbie. Robbie is a coach here at the Mindful Habit to End Sex and Porn Addiction. He's a very close friend. He's actually visiting me from Toronto, from California. Robbie, why don't you say hi and introduce yourself to these fine people who have joined us?
Yeah, hello everyone. And just a huge honor to be here with Craig. And so as he said, my name is Robbie Nora. I work as a recovery coach here at the Mindful Habit. Several years ago, I escaped addiction by working through this program with Craig, and now I enjoy helping men heal, build their recovery, reclaim their power of choice, and lead fulfilling lives. So it's just been a phenomenal journey. I owe my life to Craig, and it's just been a crazy ride.
Listen, thank you, Robbie. Thank you for those kind words. That's what we do here. See, what I've done, I did therapy for years. I did 12 steps. I did all sorts of programs, and nothing worked. And the big change for me, everybody, and this is the part that I want to share with you today, the big change for me is when I started to understand habits. Because let's face it, this is a bad habit. So we can use all the science that we have in that space, and there's an awful lot of it that can help us hack the habit cycle. And that's what I'm going to teach you to do today, to hack the habit cycle and find the space, to find that space between the right phase at the right place at the right time so you can embrace your power of choice. Why must you master the habit cycle to break free from porn and create the life you want? I'm going to tell you why. Okay, number one, Robbie, the golden rule of behavior modification. Close this out for me. To break a habit,
you have to make a habit.
You absolutely have to make a habit. So I'm on the website feedtherightwolf.org. It's a great place. They've got a lot of free resources. There's a course that you can download. And one of the things I liked about the Feed the Right Wolf story, and it's an old Cherokee tale, and it talks about that there are two wolves inside us. One is good and one is evil. Okay, and which wolf wins? The one you feed. The one you feed. So you have to take action. To break a habit, you have to make a habit. Okay, and in the Mindful Habit method, in the beginning, we start running away from negative. Yes, we identify all the behaviors that are driving us nuts, any of the root cause stories. As you can imagine, how important was it for me to connect with that childhood sexual abuse, right? How it's impacting my behavior today. Not to go back and have a pity party, but to use that information today to empower me to make the right choices. What do we know about diets, people? What we know about diets is they don't work. They don't work because you have to make a lifestyle choice. You have to make a lifestyle change, excuse me. And so just remember that. I want you to focus just as much on what not to do, but I also want you to give just as much energy inside you to what you should be doing. Why is the habit cycle so important? The habit cycle is so important because I call this place where we go, where we slip into habit land, okay? This is the place that we visit every time we watch porn, every time we're triggered to watch porn, every time we're triggered to get angry, to snap back. Guys who are in trouble with their wives, right, getting defensive, right? There's no space there between your thoughts. You're just, boom, you get defensive, your wife gets upset with you, and you put yourself in more trouble. So we need to slow down that habit cycle because that's where you spend up to 50% of your day. Duke scientists in a study in 2006 wanted to study what percentage of our waking time do we spend in habit land. And habit land is that place where you are subconsciously reacting to external stimuli. It's up to 50%. All right, let's jump in to the habit cycle. Robbie, can you drop the 3 phases of the habit cycle for these fine people?
We start off with the trigger. So triggers are really important to identify at the beginning. And second phase is thought. The third component is action. So we got trigger, thought, action.
Action. Look, we almost did that in unison, Robbie. We should practice singing that.
Yeah.
Next time. Trigger, thought, action. So let me walk through each phase and define it for you. Here's what a trigger is. Okay? A trigger is the instantaneous response to an external stimuli. It's just that pow, right? So you're walking down the street, and you see someone on the side of the road. You see a woman, maybe dressed in a certain way. Pow! Instantaneous response, like inside, an internal response to that stimuli. Okay, it just happens lightning fast, lightning fast. And I want to tell you something right now about triggers. Please write this down. Please write this down. Your triggers are biologically hardwired. You need to know that. Your triggers are biologically hardwired. What that means is they are not going away immediately, even over the midterm, okay? With the work that you're doing here and the work you're doing on your own, you are going to reduce the frequency of your triggers. You are going to reduce the severity of your triggers, but you are not going to make them go away. So whatever model you choose to get well, it must reflect that fact. You don't see aviation engineers bitching about gravity, do you? Right? That's the sun rises in the east, the sun sets in the west. 2 + 2 is 4. To break a habit, you have to make a habit, and your triggers are biologically hardwired. Okay? So I want you to know that because I don't want you to measure your success at the early stages of recovery by the frequency and severity of your triggers. The second phase of the habit cycle is thoughts. So you see the person down the street, or you come home and you're alone and you're about to get on your computer and you start hearing that voice. Watch porn. Watch porn. Go get a prostitute. Get on the chat line, right? Can you guys connect with that voice? Can you connect with that voice inside your head? Who's saying that? There are 2 kinds of thoughts that I want you to figure out. Number 1, sexual thoughts. I want you to pay very careful attention to your sexual thoughts over the course of the next 7 days. In fact, I want you to bring, at the end of this week, I want you to bring acute awareness, powerful, precise awareness to your triggers, to your thoughts, and to your actions. And I'm going to share that exercise with you in a moment. But I don't want you to just focus on your sexual thoughts. That's what a lot of people do, and that's a mistake. Robbie, what are the other thoughts that these folks need to pay attention to?
The second one that's really important is self-deprecating. Self-deprecating thoughts. They're, you know, yeah, I'm a piece of shit. You know, I'm weak. How come I'm going through this? These kind of this inner critic, this critic we have inside that's always tossing judgments, criticisms at us. So those are important to identify also. And
the self-deprecating, thank you, Robbie. Just like Robbie said, this might surprise some of you, but those are more important. Those are more important because in the overwhelming majority of men that we work with, porn addiction, their compulsion, their affliction is a symptom. It's a symptom of mediocrity. malaise, underachievement, root cause issues from childhood, numbing, coping, ways to bury the behavior that's haunting them.
Yep.
So it's an escape. And so porn is a symptom. And so symptom of what, right? And that voice telling you you're not good enough, that you can't do it, that you won't succeed. So the thoughts, you need to focus on the self-deprecating thoughts. And I'm going to show you how to do it. The last phase of the addiction cycle, trigger, thought, and action. And so maybe you'll go into the bedroom, you'll grab your phone, you'll shut the door, you'll open up your computer, you'll flip it open, you'll type, you'll open up the browser, you'll log in, you'll do whatever you got to do. You've taken literally 1,000 steps, right, to get to your pornography. It feels like it's nanoseconds. It feels like it happens so fast, but really it doesn't. So again, what would your life look like if you could slow down that habit cycle and embrace your power of choice? Okay, what would your life look like? What could you do if you could slow it down and take different action? So again, very, very important. The habit cycle is 3 phases. The addiction cycle, call it whatever you want. Now, everybody defines it a little bit differently. So what I did, just so you know, kind of, wait, would you make this up? Well, number 1, I experienced it because I've been there. I've been where you are. Number 2, Charles Duhigg, The Power of Habit. He wrote a great book on the power of habit, and it just contains all the science, talks about triggers, being hardwired, and his is cue, routine, reward. Okay, I changed the routine part because it's the thoughts, right? The thoughts. And if we can just connect with those thoughts, so I modified it ever so slightly and still accurately reflects the same cycle, but it's coming at it from a different perspective. Trigger, thought, action. And remember, what did I tell you guys about triggers? Your triggers are biologically hardwired. Your triggers are biologically hardwired. Okay, they're not going away. So what do we do about it? Okay, the first thing that we're going to do about it is, and here's what I want each of you to do for 7 days. I want you to track. I want you to write down your triggers, your thoughts, and your actions. Write them down. Some guys create a spreadsheet. Some guys write it down in the note function on their phone. Some guys write it on a piece of paper that they keep in their back pocket. Your triggers, your thoughts, and your actions. Triggers, thoughts, you're going to track them. And here's what I need you to do. Around the thoughts, here's what you need to do. You need to be specific. So if you're walking down the street and you see a pretty lady, okay, and you have a thought, I don't want you to write down, I thought she had a nice chest. You didn't see a woman with nice chest. You said, look at those titties. Okay, I want you to use the exact words. And I'm sorry if that's offensive to some people, but hey, you wouldn't be here if this was offending you. I talk pretty blunt, and that's just the way it is. So what exactly did you think? Man, I used to have crazy thoughts when I'd see somebody. I'd see a woman like, oh my God, look at her. How many guys did she fuck? Or what does she look like naked? Or I bet she likes it in the ass. I'm sorry. But that bluntness, Robbie, that I'm having right now with this audience was very important in our work, wasn't it?
It's important to, be aware of, especially at the beginning, the kind of thought patterns that might be floating around, kicking around our heads. I mean, another important thing that we do a little bit later is talking about even non-sexual triggers. I mean, those are really important too. Like, if you lost a job, or if you were rejected by a woman, or if your
wife's pissed off at you.
Yeah, if your wife's pissed off at you, or whatever it might be.
Good. Keep going.
Yeah, those are super important, because I mean, you have some days where, the titties, or whatever it might be, they stand out a little more than other days, and you have to really reflect and take a deep look at what might have happened the day before. It could have been a week before. Something that you thought wasn't a big deal, but actually it was a big deal. It's bothering you more than you expected. So when you're tracking your triggers, drawing those kinds of connections is super important. I have guys that I work with that are like, wow, someone made this comment at work, And next thing you know, I'm thinking about watching porn, later that night. And, they don't think about those kinds of connections at the beginning, but, they're there. They're just, like Craig is saying, the hardwired nature of these triggers really, it makes you blind to a lot of connections, that are there.
You're in habit land. Thank you, Robbie. You're in habit land. You are not consciously reacting to external stimuli. You are not aware. You are not embracing the power of now. You're in habit land. So I want you to track your triggers, your thoughts, and your actions for 7 days. Around the thoughts, I'm going to say it again. I'm just going to say it again because I'm a pain in the ass like that. I want you to write down the exact thoughts that you're having, because here's another thing about pornography. It changes us, doesn't it? It's changed you. You're here because it's changed you. You were into one thing, and now you're into something else. You're like, whoa, wait, how did I get here? So you want to bring a powerful awareness to that shameful part about yourself. Okay, the part that you don't feel good about. But listen, you're trying to get better. You want to start living a kick-ass life. You've got to bring that darkness into the light.
Yeah.
Okay? Even if you do it just for yourself, I want you to write down your triggers. I want you to write down the thoughts, the exact thoughts that you're having, so you can break free from the compulsive sexual behavior and the compulsive self-deprecating. Okay? And I want you to write down your actions. If you watch porn, listen, I don't want you to watch porn. You're here because you didn't watch porn. Okay? No one's going to die if you did. I want you to use that as an opportunity. Remember, failure equals opportunity. Here's the problem. Hey, I went 3 months, and then you slip. And then you think you're back to square one. Who the hell said that? You're back to square one. You're not back to square one. That's ridiculous. Okay? Everything you've learned is gone. No, you fall down, you get back up. You fall down, you get back up. You get back up strong. Okay? And you figure, okay, wait, why did that happen? Why am I acting in conflict with the man I want to be? How's that happening? What occurred in my life? What was I unaware of? Aha.
And a great metaphor, Craig, is like a river. If you have a river, the longer it runs, the deeper it carves into the earth. And when you're trying to cut a new path, it takes some time at first. The water still wants to flow in that other direction. So it's a process. You want to carve that new path, those new paths in your mind by hacking the habit cycle.
And you can't carve anything.
Yeah.
You can't carve anything.
You're piling on top of it.
You bring awareness, and so you can't create any new pathways. You can't do anything until you become aware. So this is the awareness phase of the mindful habit method, where you're bringing acute awareness to the habit cycle, the place you go, habit land. Every time you act out compulsively, every time you snap at your girlfriend, your spouse, or your significant other, every time you get defensive at work when you're criticized, this is habit-based, by the way. Okay, you use this tool for whatever is plaguing you, whether it's drinking, whether it's drugs, whether it's partying, whether it's being a jerk, whether it's being mean. Use this. So I want you to track your triggers, your thoughts, self-deprecating and sexual, and actions for 1 week. Okay? And you see how you feel at the end of that 1 week. What I want to do now is I want to shift gears a little bit. So Viktor Frankl, great man, Holocaust survivor. He wrote Man's Search for Meaning, and he has a great quote about space. I've completely bastardized it and changed it, but I want you to know that this quote comes from or was inspired by Viktor Frankl's work when he talked about how was he able to find peace and how was he able to survive one of the worst atrocities known to mankind in the Holocaust. And he said, well, I'm saying this, between thought and action, there is space. Between thought and action, there is space. In that space lies your power of choice, and in that choice lies your freedom. Robbie, pull up that Viktor Frankl quote for me and read it to these guys.
Between stimulus and response, there is the space. In that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. Very eloquent.
Very cool. Yeah. And when I heard that quote and I was able to connect it to habits and to really understand how far it was how far he was. 1967, we didn't have the brain scans around habit. We didn't have any of the science that we now have around habits. Your triggers are biologically hardwired. Between stimulus and response, that's actually trigger, and response is action. Okay, but we're gonna narrow it down even deeper. Between thought and action is where you're gonna find that space. And the important thing about Viktor Frankl too, if you guys haven't read it, Man's Search for Meaning, he talks about how important it is to live a passion-filled life. Okay, that's the whole foundation for his therapy modality. That's the basis of his book, in Man's Search for Meaning. So when you think about that, you can apply it to what you're doing. To break a habit, you have to make a habit. You have to take action. Make that action the aggressive pursuit of a great life. Make that action the aggressive pursuit of a great life. Don't make it stopping doing something. I promise you this, you will fail if you only stop doing something. If you only stop watching porn, if you only stop acting out sexually, if that's all you do, you'll fail. You'll be back. I promise you that. I promise you that. Okay, so you've got to take action. You must live a passion-filled life. And this is the opportunity that this presents. And I talked about this earlier, your power of choice compromised around your sexuality. Oh, what if you had that power of choice back? What if you were able to transmute that powerful sexual energy into creating a great life? What would your life look like? All right? It would look pretty awesome. So what I want to do is teach you a tool to create space between thought and action. I want to teach you so you're triggered, right? I'm triggered. I see someone walking down the street. Whoa! Oh my God! My head hurts. It's like low cut, the yoga pants. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. I have thoughts. Does she like the screw? What does she, some of you guys don't like my cursing, but listen, I curse. We're talking about pornography. You're watching girls getting gangbanged. Please do not get upset over my cursing. If you are upset, this might not be the place for you. No disrespect, but this is how I call it, okay? And so I have the thoughts of, that she wants to get fucked. What does she look like naked? How many cocks did she suck? Listen, I'm just telling you, that's the stuff that goes through my head. You got to bring awareness to that dark part. Don't pretend, look at that pretty girl. That's not what's going on. That's not what's going on. Are you acting in concert the way the man you want to be? Okay, so you have the thoughts, okay? And then so here's what you do. After the thought, because in the next 7 days, you're already bringing awareness to your triggers. We know you're going to have them. We're already bringing awareness to your thoughts. We're already bringing awareness to your actions. So, since we are bringing this acute, painful awareness, which is why I'm cursing, I want to create a safe place where you people can understand. Two people right here on this call who went through this same process that's going through. Don't sugarcoat it, guys. This is your life. This is mediocrity or success. You're on this webinar because you chose success, okay? That's a powerful thing. You've declared you want to succeed. You want a better life. And you know that this is holding you back. Okay, so here's the tool. The tool is called Wrong Thought, Right. It is a very simple tool. It's easy to use. It's like beyond easy. But I promise you, if you can understand in the first week, get a glimmer of what this space looks like, this space between thought and action, it's going to start like this, it's going to grow, and it's going to get bigger. And in that space lies your power of choice. In that space lies your freedom. So after the trigger, after the thought, you have that crazy thought in your head, I want to watch porn. Wrong thought, right. Wrong thought, right is the name of the tool. After your thoughts, I want you to declare that thought wrong. Right at its inception, as soon as you bring awareness to it, I want an alarm clock to go off. Wrong thought, wrong thought. Some guys picture a stop sign. Some guys picture a speed bump. I like the speed bump. It's like, poof, wrong thought. Whoa, wait a minute. I'm aware, I'm awake, I'm present. Wrong thought, okay? But that's not enough. Okay, I want you to declare the thought wrong. The second thing that I want you to do is insert the right thought. Insert the thought that's going to move you closer to where you want to go. I don't want to objectify that woman. That could be a neighbor. That could be a friend. What if she's struggling? What if her husband's struggling? What did she go through? Okay, those are some of the things I think of because I get calls from men and women all over the world telling me their problems. You never know who's suffering, right? And who the hell am I to objectify her, right? Or I'm tempted to watch porn. No, wrong thought, right? Wrong thought, wrong thought. I don't want to watch porn. There's so many things. There's like a billion things I could do. Biting my toenails would be better than watching porn. So the trigger, thought, action. That's habit land. How do you get out of habit land? The first thing you do is you bring awareness to habit land. Okay? Through this, what you're going to do for the next 7 days is track your triggers, your thoughts, and your actions. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to practice wrong thought right. Okay? You're already bringing awareness to your triggers. You're going to have them. Do not measure your success by the frequency or severity of your triggers in the early stages of bringing awareness to them. As you move forward, a month out, 2 months out, as you move forward, when your triggers go crazy, absolutely pay attention to them. If they start getting worse, if there's more of them, that means you need something. Because at the end of the day, since your triggers are biologically hardwired, you actually can train yourself, and I'm laying the foundation to help you do that, to change your relationship with triggers. What if me, everybody here on this call, we went into a lab, Google Labs, we went into Project X, and we built this app for the iPhone and the Droid, right, that could alert us to when we were slipping into habit land. It would monitor our biomechanical functions, our heart rate, our pulse, our sweat, our whatever else it could, and boom, and when we were slipping into habit land, it went off. Wake up, wake up, wake up. That'd be cool, right? We'd probably be pretty rich. We'd be very rich. But here's the deal. You already have it. You already have it. But you've been misinterpreting the cue. Okay, that trigger, instead of waking you up, is driving you insane. Driving you to do things that is not going to make your life more productive. Okay, so you already have that tool. And so we're laying the foundation for you to do that here. So I want you to track your triggers, your thoughts, and your actions for the next 7 days. Okay? I want you to practice wrong thought right. Wrong thought right. After your thoughts. You're going to have thoughts. Declare the thought wrong, insert the right thought. Instantaneously. Declare the thought wrong, insert the right thought. If it happens 10 times, 15 times, 20 times, declare the thought wrong, insert the right thought. Declare the thought wrong, insert the right thought. And this powerful technique will lay you on a foundation to understand habit land, a place you go 50% of your time.
You know, just a quick point, just continuing off of what you were saying, you know, when you're talking about using your triggers to drive positive change, it goes back to, you know, finding those connections. Like, you know, when you're feeling triggered, it's almost always the sign that, you know, there's something that occurred earlier that you weren't paying attention to, and the trigger is trying to wake you up to that. And it could be something as simple, you know, some of the guys that I work with, they hate their job, or you know, they're really lonely, or whatever it might be, and that trigger is trying to wake you up. That part of you is doing whatever it can to get your attention. And, you know, what better way to get your attention than to, you know, trigger you sexually, right? I mean, if you see it as a sign, like, wait a minute, that side of me is trying to tell me something important, and you're patient with that can lead you to on the right path to lead a much better life. So that's a really important point.
Well, let's take some questions from all you great people out there. Anybody have any questions for Robbie and me while we're wrapping this up? I want to thank you all for attending. Let me scroll down and see if you got any questions. So type them in the text if you have anyone. Robbie, can you read that quote one more time?
Absolutely, yep. Never get tired of it. Between stimulus and, with the Frankel quote, right?
Yeah.
Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff. Real
Yep.
cool stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you know, that I would recommend that book to anyone. Man's Search for Meaning. It's super inspirational, really inspirational. I mean, you know, if you think about how difficult it is to maintain, you know, a positive attitude, to maintain a resilient attitude, you know, the guy was in a prison camp, right, in a concentration camp for a long time, and you know, people lose the will to just move on, to keep moving forward. So it's a really powerful book.
Very powerful book. Very, very powerful book. I want to thank you guys all for joining this webinar. Thank you so much. I'm so happy. Please sign up for the next one. If you have any questions, if you're struggling, you need help now, call us. The number.
Yeah, we have a really powerful 12-week program. I mean, you won't find anything like it anywhere else. I mean, Craig has really put something special together, and you know, you know, his program is the way it combines, you know, if you look at mindfulness and the habit cycle, you know, they're really opposites, and it's pretty ingenious what he's done, you know, to put these two ideas together. It you know, it gets to the root, to the core of the issue, right? I mean, habits are great. You know, we can't live without them. You know, if I had to think about every single move I make throughout my day, I couldn't function, right? I mean, being able to cut vegetables and tie my shoes, you know, I don't want to have to always think about that. But when things go wrong, you know, what next? So it was pretty ingenious to, you know, well, let's bring mindfulness. Let's use it to hack the habit cycle. And this quote, this idea of thought, of trigger thought action, it encapsulates that really nicely. So.
It's a solid foundation. Thank you for those kind words, Robbie.
Yeah, well,
I want you all to get started on embracing your power of choice. I want you to hack your habit cycle. I want you to embrace your habit cycle. I want you to embrace your power of choice. And remember, the cure for this affliction, this addiction, whatever you want to call it, is the aggressive pursuit of a great life. Embrace your power of choice. Thank you for joining me. Sign up for the next webinar and stay tuned. We got a lot more to come. There's going to be some really powerful things that's going to keep coming to you. Thank you all for joining me. Bye.